Most usernames get recycled within a year of going inactive. The ones we read on LurmoStories don't. The accounts that posted them are gone, but the names sit there, untouched, decades later. Nobody has tried to register them. We've checked. The platform tells you they're available. They never get taken. I drove nights for Desert Star Cab in Las Vegas in November 2019. I was 42, divorced, living off Maryland Parkway. My cab was car 128, a white Crown Vic with 312,084 miles and a heater that smelled like dust and hot plastic. That Thursday was normal. I had 7-Eleven coffee, Roberto's tacos, and KTNV playing low near Harrah's. The strip smelled like spilled beer, brake pads, weed, and fake flowers from casino doors. Dry night, maybe 52 degrees. At 1:37 a.m., the radio popped. It went from a terrible Herbst ad to a man with an old news voice saying Las Vegas was about to open the most expensive hotel in the world. He called it the Mirage. Then a woman said, "Tomorrow night, November 22nd, 1989, guests will see a new kind of resort." The display still said KTNV. I laughed and tapped the radio. The Mirage had been there my whole adult life. I figured it was an anniversary segment, or the antenna was acting up. Tired drivers explain things badly. I did too. A fare came through the tablet at 1:57. Pickup, Casino Royale. Drop-off, the Mirage. Name, Thomas B. Distance, 0.4 miles. Estimated fare, $6.80. I pulled to the little entrance by Walgreens. The sidewalk was sticky, and a yard-long daiquiri cup lay under the bench. A man stepped out before I stopped. Thin, mid-30s, gray suit, narrow blue tie, wet-combed hair, black, hard Samsonite briefcase with metal latches. He got in behind me. "Mirage, please," he said. No slur, no phone. He smelled like cigarettes and sharp aftershave. "You got it. Main entrance or North Ballet?" "The main entrance. I'm expected." The Mirage should have been right there. Gold tower, palms, fake rocks, valet lights. The GPS drew the blue line and told me to turn right in 300 feet. At the Venetian light, he leaned forward. "Is this road always so crowded?" "On a Thursday? This is light." He nodded like I had answered another question. The radio kept going. A woman talked about Steve Wynn and $600 million. Tomorrow, Las Vegas gets its first mega resort. The audio had a cassette hiss. Thomas asked me to leave it on. Sure. The meter clicked to $5.30. I remember that because I thought he should have walked. Then the Mirage sign wasn't there. It should have been on the left, bright and impossible to miss. Instead, there was a dark gap between casino lights. The strip kept glowing on both sides, but where the Mirage should have been, it looked cut out. I slowed down. A white Dodge Charger honked and swerved around me. I blinked hard and told myself it was glare. The windshield had greasy handprints, and casinos throw strange reflections. That was my first excuse. Just glare. The GPS said, "Arriving at the Mirage, on the left." I turned in. The tires hit hard sand. The cab lurched. Pebbles popped under the tread. The sound of traffic dropped away like a door had shut. I hit the brake, and my seatbelt locked across my chest. In front of us was desert. No hotel. No valet. No palm trees. Just black, flat land past the headlights. Low hills where Caesars should have been. And too many stars. You don't see stars like that from the strip. Thomas said, "This is the place." I looked at him in the mirror. "No, man, this is not the place." He looked relieved. That was worse than panic. The tablet still showed our dot at the Mirage entrance. Little gray blocks marked Casino Royale, Harrah's, Caesars, Treasure Island. Outside, my headlights lit dry brush. I put the car in reverse. The camera showed black dust and red brake light. Not traffic. I backed up, expecting a curb and normal pavement. The cab moved, but the desert stayed. The radio got louder by itself. The woman said, "Guests will see a volcano erupt every 15 minutes, free to anyone on Las Vegas Boulevard." I pressed power. It came right back. Thomas opened his briefcase. The latches clicked too loud. Inside were a folder, a folded newspaper, and a small envelope. "What's your full name?" I asked. "Thomas." "Where did I pick you up, Thomas?" "Outside the Nob Hill Casino." "There's no Nob Hill Casino." "There is tonight." My hands were damp. The cab smelled like old coffee, hot plastic, and his aftershave. I checked my iPhone 8. No service. Time, 1:59 a.m. Battery, 24%. Your phone working? I asked. I don't own one. Of course he didn't. I tried to think like a cab driver. Maybe I'd turned into a service road. Maybe GPS glitched. But there was no hum, no sirens, no bass, no jets dropping toward McCarran. Just the Crown Vic idling and the radio talking about a hotel that had opened 30 years earlier. I made a slow circle. The headlights swept over scrub, tire tracks, a wooden stake with orange ribbon, and far out, 2 white lights. Thomas leaned forward. Not that way. It was the first time he sounded scared. Who is that? He closed the briefcase. I was told to come to the Mirage. I was told there would be a driver. You ordered through an app? A dispatcher called one. My dispatcher didn't call me. She said Desert Star. He swallowed. She said car 128. Nobody outside the company cared about that number. I hadn't told him. The distant headlights blinked once. Not like high beams, like an eye closing. I turned hard left and drove. The cab bounced over rough ground. Something scraped underneath. The GPS arrow spun, then locked again on the same dot. Arrived, the tablet said. Stop here, Thomas said. No. Please, this is close enough. I'm getting us back to the road. There may not be a road where you choose. In daylight, I would have rolled my eyes. Out there, it sounded like practical advice. After maybe 30 yards, pavement appeared. A narrow 2-lane strip across the desert. No markings, edges crumbling into sand. The radio changed to, "We built this city," faint and warped. The tablet flashed between the Mirage and a blank gray grid. Turn left on Sammy Davis Jr. Drive. Then, turn left on Industrial Road. There was no route. The headlights were on the road behind us now. I couldn't see the vehicle, only 2 low white lights bouncing closer. I pushed the cab to 40. The steering wheel shook. Hot oil seeped through the vents. Who are they? I said. I don't know. Then why are you scared? Because I heard them before I saw them. Where? In the casino, behind the walls. I stopped asking. I wanted one normal thing. A security guard, a drunk guy, anything. The road ended. No curve, no sign. Asphalt just stopped, cut clean across, and sand waited beyond it. I braked hard. The headlights behind us slowed too. Thomas said, "This is where you let me out. I'm not leaving you here. You have to." "No, I don't." He asked for me, not you. Before I could answer, the meter dinged. The fare froze at $19.89. Thomas took a $20 bill from his envelope. Old design, small portrait, crisp. He pushed it through the divider gap. "Keep the change," he said. I did not take it. The light stopped maybe 100 yards away. I heard an engine, low and uneven. Then a heavy door opened. The radio cut back to the woman's voice. Built with no clocks and no windows, so the guest forgets when he arrived. Thomas opened the rear door. Cold air came in, smelling of dust and creosote, with something wet under it, like casino sidewalks after they hosed them down. "Get back in," I said. "Maybe it's security." He bent to look in. Half his face was lit by the dome light. "You're a decent man, Ray." I never told him my first name. He closed the door and walked to the shoulder. The headlights behind us flared. A tall, square shape sat between them. Something moved in front of the lights. Then the cab horn gave one short beep by itself. Thomas didn't turn around. I put the car in reverse. The transmission clunked. I made the ugliest 3-point turn of my life. In the mirror, Thomas raised one hand. I drove away from him. I'm not proud of it. I had no service, no weapon, and a daughter named Mia. I drove toward the only other lights I could see, 2 pale dots on the black horizon. These were higher, moving side to side like a car on a real road. I kept them centered and drove over sand because the asphalt was gone behind me. The Crown Vic rattled. The check engine light came on, then ABS. The radio played 1989 ads. A buffet for $3.99. Pagers on East Sahara. A Frank Sinatra weekend. Once, in static, I heard Gina say, "Car 128, status?" Then she vanished. I drove maybe 20 minutes, maybe 2 hours. The odometer rolled too fast. 312,086, 312,104, 312,177. The gas gauge dropped. My phone stayed at 159. I started talking out loud. Ray, car 128, Nevada plate 64BK92. Thursday night, November 2019. Near the Strip. 1 coffee, no booze, no pills. The heater died. Cold air blew from the vents. The lights ahead became red taillights. Real red. I followed them. The road appeared under me all at once. Painted lane lines, dots ticking under the tires. A curb, a billboard for the iPhone 11. Sound came back in pieces. Traffic, bass from a club, a siren, a woman laughing. I was on Las Vegas Boulevard, southbound, in front of Caesar's Palace. The Mirage was in my rearview mirror. Gold windows and fake volcano rocks exactly where they belonged. I don't remember parking. I came around in the Caesar's taxi line with the dash clock reading 4:44 a.m. My phone buzzed with Gina's text. Ray, where the hell are you? You dropped off grid for 2 hours. I called her. Car trouble, I said. Your GPS jumped from the Mirage to Jean, then Prim, then back. I thought the tablet was cooked. Jean is about 30 miles south of Vegas. Prim is almost 40 more. I looked at the odometer. 312,587. 503 miles more than when I started. I hadn't bought gas, the fuel light was on. I walked around the cab. The tires were coated in pale dust, almost white. Stuck in the grill was a strip of orange ribbon tied to a broken wooden stake. On the back seat was the $20 bill. I know I didn't take it. It lay flat on the vinyl behind the divider. Series 1988A. It smelled faintly like tobacco. I put it in the glove box. Dumb, I know. What was I going to do? Hand it to a cop and say a passenger from 1989 paid me to leave him on the edge of a desert where the Mirage wasn't? At the Desert Star Yard on Dean Martin Drive, Pete pointed at the cab and said, "Where'd you take that thing, Burning Man?" I told him Red Rock. He said the dust was the wrong color. I went home and checked the news. Nothing. The Mirage had normal reviews from that night. Somebody posted a volcano video at 2:03 a.m. The hotel was exactly where it belonged. For 3 days, I blamed stress, bad GPS, bad radio, a broken odometer. Then I found the receipt in the printer. The printer had been out of paper during the ride, I'm sure of it, but inside was a curled strip, yellowed at the edge. Pickup, Nob Hill Casino. Drop-off, Mirage Resort Grand Opening. Distance, 0.4 miles. Fare, $19.89. Driver, Raymond Nolan. Cab, 128. Timeout, 1:57 a.m. Time in, 4:44 a.m. Date, November 21st, 89. Under that, in faint print, was a line our receipts never had. Passenger delivered to property line. I keep the receipt and the 20 in a shoebox. I quit Desert Star in January 2020 and drive airport shuttle now. I still pass that corner. I don't look straight at it after midnight. The part I can't get past is that Thomas knew my name, and he knew I was supposed to leave him there. He acted like a man who had been late for 30 years and was relieved the cab finally came. A few months later, I passed Casino Royale at 1:57 a.m. By the taxi stand, I saw a gray suit and a black briefcase. A party bus rolled between us. When it passed, he was gone. I didn't stop. The next morning, my odometer was normal, but there was pale dust on the rear floor mat, just on the passenger side, in the shape of 2 shoes. I got sent to Keystone Fulfillment because I was the guy at Tri-City Low Voltage who still took warehouse jobs without complaining. It was February 15th, 2023, outside Allentown, Pennsylvania, in a flat industrial park off Industrial Boulevard. Gray concrete buildings, blue dock doors, yellow bollards, dirty snow against the loading bays. Across the road were a Wawa, a U-Haul lot, and bare trees hiding the Lehigh River. I was 42. My partner was Devin, 26, good with switches, bad with ladders, always chewing gum and drinking White Monster. We had to replace 12 old Amcrest cameras with Axis domes, add 4 more blind spots, tie them into Milestone on a Dell server, get a signature, go home. Keystone handled office supply returns. It smelled like wet cardboard, forklift batteries, and burnt coffee. Toner dust stuck to my gloves. Fluorescent lights buzzed over pallets of paper and shrink-wrapped chairs. Far off, a forklift alarm kept giving 3 soft beeps, then stopping. Gary from Facilities walked us in at 7:12 a.m. He wore a Steelers beanie and pointed at the east wall on a wrinkled plan. People kept propping the receiving door for smoke breaks, he said, so corporate wanted a camera in the dead hall. The dead hall wasn't dramatic. 90 feet long, 10 feet wide, white block walls, sealed concrete floor, drop ceiling, one red fire extinguisher, one gray access panel, and a push-bar door. No windows, no offices, just a corridor behind storage cages. Devin set up in the server room, really a closet, with a trip light rack, 2 APC backups, and a space heater under a folding table. I did the ceiling work. At 2:37 p.m., I wrote C13 East Corridor on the work order and mounted a white Axis P3265-LV dome 20 feet from the receiving door, looking west. I toned the Cat 6, crimped the RJ45, clicked it in, and heard the little relay tick. The IR LEDs blinked once. C13 is hot, I said over the radio. Devin answered from the server room. Give me 20 seconds. I stood under the camera with my Milwaukee driver in one hand and our cracked Samsung Galaxy Tab in the other. Milestone spun, then the live view opened. It showed the corridor. Same angle. Same fire extinguisher on the right wall. Same gray access panel halfway down. Except the corridor was packed with office furniture from the 1970s. Brown metal desks, low file cabinets, tan partitions, green rolling chairs, beige rotary phones, wire paper trays, ashtrays on 2 desks. It looked like somebody had shoved an old county office into that empty hallway. There were people behind the desks, maybe 15, men and women in suits, wide ties, thick glasses, short hair, one woman with a scarf at her neck. Every face was turned toward the camera. They were all looking straight into the lens. I didn't yell. The first thing I thought was wrong feed, IP conflict, old recorded clip, some demo stream. I tapped the camera name, C13 East Corridor. I closed it and reopened it. Same office, same people. The real hole in front of me was empty. White block, fire extinguisher, access panel, no desks, no people. Devin, I said into the radio, what are you seeing on 13? He took a second. Hallway, you're standing under it. Just hallway? Yeah, why? On my tablet, I was there too. Or something shaped enough like me, a man under the camera holding a tablet. Behind him were desks and all those still faces. Refresh your client, I said. I am refreshed. Then one of the men blinked. Until then, I could still make it a still image in my head. Then the man at the second desk on the left blinked slowly. A woman near the back shifted only her eyes toward the tablet in my hand. I lowered the screen. Empty hall. Raised it. Office. Faces. A dry paper sound came from ahead of me, like someone squaring forms on a desk. I blamed my jacket rubbing the ladder. I moved my arm, no sound. Then it came again from the empty corridor. I should have walked out and called Gary. Instead, I did the dumb tech thing. I tested. I walked 10 steps toward the access panel. My boots made flat slaps on concrete. The air felt colder there. I touched the fire extinguisher tag. January inspection, M. Felix. I touched the panel. Painted metal, a little tacky. On the tablet, I was walking between desks. Their heads stayed aimed at the camera, but their eyes followed me in a way that angle should not allow. A man on the right had a white mug with orange letters, Bell Telephone. His fingers rested flat beside it on green paper. I called Devin on my cell. The MAC was AC:8E:8E:4B:19:73, same as the sticker in the dome. The IP was 10.14.6.113. I opened the Access page directly in Chrome, outside Milestone. Same office, same people. The man with the Bell telephone mug was standing now. That was when I stopped trying to make it normal. He had pushed his chair back and stood behind his desk, arms down. Maybe 50, gray suit, dark green tie, shiny combed hair like in old family photos. He looked up at the camera and waited. The real corridor was empty and quiet. I radioed Devin. Come here, bring your laptop. He showed up 3 minutes later in a Carhartt jacket, annoyed, with a ThinkPad balanced on one hand. This better not be one of your old guy tests. I handed him the tablet. He looked at it, then at the hall, then back down. What the hell is that? Direct feed. He refreshed, opened the browser, pinged the camera, checked the switch port. He killed the port from his server room session and the feed dropped. He brought it back. The office returned after the boot delay. While we watched, 3 more people stood. Chairs rolled back, hands went to desk edges. Nobody hurried. The corridor lights blinked once. The office lights on the tablet did not. They were warmer, yellow, in a ceiling lower than ours. Devin turned his laptop toward me. Server still sees normal. His milestone window showed the empty hall with me, him, the ladder, and the fire extinguisher. No desks. Then it changed. For 2 seconds, the empty hall and the office overlapped in blocky chunks. White wall became tan partition. Then the laptop settled on the same office as the tablet. Now both screens showed it. Devin whispered, "Nope." The man with the mug stepped out from behind his desk. In the feed, his black shoes made no sound. But in the real hall, I heard one soft scuff about 30 feet ahead. We both looked up. Empty. Another scuff. "What do we do?" Devin said. I stared at the empty concrete and tried to line it up with the screen. The man would have been near the access panel. On the tablet, he reached that place and stopped. Now all of them were standing. 15, maybe 16. The desks blocked every aisle. The man lifted his right hand and pointed at the camera. Then, all of them lifted their right hands and pointed. "Unplug it," Devin said. The camera was PoE. Power came through the Ethernet cable inside the dome. To unplug it, I had to climb the 10-foot ladder, open the camera, press the tab, and pull the cable while the feed was live. It did not feel easy. "Hold the ladder," I said. "I'm not standing under that thing." "Hold it." He did. The fiberglass rail tapped the wall because his hands were shaking. I climbed to the 4th step. Near the ceiling, the air smelled different. Dust, warm plastic, and old cigarette smoke. I turned the screws. 1, 2. The dome cover loosened. Devin said, "Mark." I looked down. He was staring at the tablet. "They're closer." I looked. I wish I hadn't. The office people were no longer behind desks. They crowded the aisles, shoulder to shoulder, still pointing. The gray-suited man was directly under the lens. He opened his mouth. The tablet had no audio. From the empty hall below me, a flat, muffled voice said, "Maintenance." Just that word. Devin let go of the ladder. I said his name and he grabbed it again. "Maintenance," the voice said again, closer. I pulled the dome cover off. My thumb slipped on the RJ45 tab. I rotated the connector. The camera body was warm through my glove. The voice said, "Maintenance," a 3rd time. Then someone knocked on the access panel. 1 knock, metal on metal. The panel was 15 feet away. No one stood there. Another knock came, and the panel flexed inward a little, like knuckles hit it from inside. There was no inside. Behind that panel was an 8-inch chase for conduit and sprinkler pipe before exterior block. No room. No office. No place for a person. I got the cable out. The IR lights died. The tablet froze on the gray-suited man looking up, then went black. The hallway went back to normal. Fluorescent hum, far forklift beeps, Devin breathing through his mouth. We stood there maybe 30 seconds. "You saw the panel move," Devin said. "No," I said. He stared at me. "I didn't see anything," I said. He understood, or wanted to. He nodded. We took the camera down. I put it back in the access box and wrote C13BAD on the flap with a Sharpie. Gary found us near receiving. "All good back there?" "Bad camera," I said. "Won't hold video." "Brand new, right?" "Yeah, happens. We'll swap it." Devin kept his mouth shut. We grabbed another access from the van. Same model, same firmware batch. I mounted it in the same spot and used the same cable. It booted. Empty hallway. We watched for 11 full minutes. Nothing happened. "Looks good," Devin said, too loud. "Looks good," I said. We finished at 5:40. I labeled the patch panel, updated the as-built, and made Gary sign. Outside, wet snow stuck to the wipers. In the parking lot, he asked if we were telling Tom. I put the bad camera box behind my seat instead of the return bin. "No. He'll ask where it is. I'll say I tossed it by accident." "That's stupid." "Yeah." He looked at the blank east wall of the warehouse. No windows, just concrete and roof drains. "There are no offices back there?" "No." "You're sure?" Sure enough. The old camera stayed in my van. I should have tested it on a bench with an isolated network and a clean PoE injector. I could have acted like a professional. Instead, I drove home with the box on the passenger seat. I usually take 222 toward Kutztown, but that night I cut over back roads toward the Lehigh. The Axis logo kept catching my eye. I stopped near a bridge by a dark pull-off where people fish in summer. Rain hissed on the windshield. Cars went by behind me. The river was high and brown. I sat with the van idling and said it out loud. Bad camera. Then I got out, opened the box, and held the dome in my hand. It looked like every other camera I had installed that year. White shell, black lens, nothing special. For 5 seconds, I almost kept it. My phone buzzed. It was Devin. Do not test it. I had not told him where I was. I had not told him I still had the camera. The timing was enough. I threw the camera into the Lehigh as hard as I could. It made a small splash I barely heard over traffic. I was not a park ranger. People called me that when they saw the hard hat and green vest, but I marked timber for Ridgeline Resource, a small company over a dentist office in Waynesville, North Carolina. In August of 2020, I was 31, living outside Canton, driving a dusty 2014 Subaru Forester with a cloth mask hanging from the mirror and a bottle of Purell rolling under the seat. The Hensley Tract was supposed to be easy, 42 acres in Haywood County, off North C 215, north of Lake Logan, not far from Sunburst Campground. Doyle wanted poplar, red maple, and low-grade oak cut before winter. My boss, Vince, had walked the lower stand in July. He said the upper bench was weird wet. In forestry work, that usually means bad footing and extra laundry. I parked at 7:18 a.m. by a rusted cable gate, texted Vince that I was starting the North Line, and lost service 2 bends later. I had a Garmin GPS MAP 64SX, Nelson blue paint, orange flagging, a Right in the Rain notebook, and a 14-inch Fiskars hatchet from Lowe's. My lunch was an Ingles turkey sandwich in a Kroger bag. It was just work. The morning was normal. Hot leaf mold smell, cicadas loud enough to make my ears itch, spiderwebs on my safety glasses, my boots squeaked where springs crossed the old skid road. I found the first pin at 8:06 under brown leaves. If the woods seemed too quiet behind the cicadas, I told myself animals hide in August. That was true enough. Around 9:15, I saw the first strange birch. It was a yellow birch on a mossy rock shelf, maybe 16 inches across. Birch bark peels anyway, so I almost walked past. Then I noticed 4 smooth, pale patches in a crooked line up the trunk. Each was about the size of a salad plate, shiny like candle wax. No insect holes, no fungus, no canker edge. I touched one with my knuckle. It was warm. Not sun warm, the tree was shaded. It felt like a coffee mug after the coffee cools. I laughed once because I was alone and embarrassed, wrote, "Odd bark, possible canker," in the notebook, and moved on. That was my first rationalization. Rock held heat. Tree disease, something boring with a Latin name. 10 minutes later, the smell changed, from wet leaves to pennies and hot dog water. Metallic, salty, faintly sweet. I had smelled dead deer before. I had smelled sourwood sap and oak wilt. This was close enough that my brain filed it under something died in the drainage. In August, that happens. By 10:02, I reached the upper bench. It flattened between 2 steep slopes like somebody had cut a shelf into the mountain. The ground was black and soft, almost no underbrush. Ferns, galax, and too many birches, white trunks standing close where there should have been oak and hickory. My Garmin put me 308 yards inside the boundary. I flagged a seep, painted 3 red maples to leave, and went to mark a birch leaning toward the proposed skid trail. It already had an old blaze on it, not normal. Most hatchet scars are rough rectangles. This one was almost oval, healed tight around the edges, pinkish in the middle. I figured Doyle or some survey crew had done it. People cut signs into trees all the time. I took out the Fiskars. 1 quick strike, shallow face cut, blue paint over it. That was the plan. I swung. The blade went into the trunk with a wet sound. Not a chop, more like slicing a ripe tomato. Hot red fluid jumped out of the cut and hit my wrist, glove, and Carhartt shirt. It was bright, the color of blood from a fresh nosebleed, and it steamed in the shade. For maybe 2 seconds, I just stared. Then, the bark moved. The sides of the cut pulled inward, slow at first, then faster. The white outer bark puckered around the wound like skin around a scrape. The opening narrowed while red fluid welled in little pulses. I heard one drop hit a fern, small, sticky sound. I said, "Nope." That was my whole speech. I stepped back, almost fell over a root, and stripped the glove off with my teeth. The fluid had run under my cuff. It was hot enough to hurt, not burn, but close. The cut squeezed down to a thin red line between two lips of bark. It twitched once. Then it settled. I wish I left right then. I did not. I stood there being stupid in a normal professional way. Maybe I had hid an animal in a hollow. Maybe red slime flux. Maybe bacterial wetwood, iron bacteria, some half-remembered word from forestry classes. None of those made bark contract. Still, I took 2 photos with my cracked iPhone 8 and saved the coordinates. Then I heard knocking. 3 knocks from deeper in the birches. Tuck, tuck, tuck. A pause. 2 more, farther left. Not a woodpecker, too slow. I called, "Hello?" Because, private land or not, you call before you assume. No answer. The cicadas below kept going, but up there they sounded muffled, like someone had closed a door between me and the rest of the mountain. "Doyle?" I called. "Ridgeline Resource, I'm marking timber." Something scraped, bark on bark. Between 2 trunks, I saw a person-shaped gap move sideways. Not a person, the absence a person would make. Pale bark, dark moss, then a vertical piece of shadow sliding against the pattern. I put the hatchet back in my belt loop and started toward the skid trail line. Not running. Running on roots is how you break an ankle. I told myself it was a hunter, a trespasser, anything with boots. The knocking followed, always about 40 yards off. At 10:21, my Garmin lost signal. Blank, gray screen. The compass on my vest spun once and pointed at my left boot. The air got warmer, like something breathing close to my face. The penny smell thickened until I tasted it. A fly landed on the red smear on my cuff and dropped into the leaves. I stepped around a birch and saw my blue paint on a red maple. Wet. Fresh. I had painted it 20 minutes earlier beside the seep. I was back where I started. That was impossible. The bench was not big. The slope rose on one side and fell on the other. I tapped the compass again. It pointed at my boot. I remember saying in the same voice I used when my laptop froze, "You are kidding me." A woman coughed. It was a small, throat-clearing cough from past the seep. My cough. Same tired allergy sound I had from working in pollen all summer. I froze because for half a second, my body thought I had made it. Then it happened again. "Who's there?" I asked. The answer came back in my voice, flat like a bad speakerphone. "Marking timber." I left then, or tried to. I picked the downhill side and moved fast, using trees to brake. The mud had no water on top, but my boots slid in it. I grabbed a sapling and it bent too easily, rubbery and warm. Behind me, my own voice said, "Nope," with the same little breath before it. The bench dropped into a narrow draw. Water runs down. If I followed water, I would hit the old road. Basic. But the draw was full of birch roots, pale ropes crossing black mud. Some were thicker than my wrist. A few tightened and loosened under the surface, like hands under a blanket. On the far bank, orange flagging hung from a white trunk. My flagging. Fresh double knot, loose tail cut at an angle the way I cut it with my pocket knife. I had not been there. Behind me, blue paint marks began appearing on birch bark, one by one. Short vertical lines, wet and dark, turning bright blue. No hand, no can, just a faint hiss. Then, my voice whispered, "Marin." I had not said my name aloud. I took one step into the draw, then another. Halfway across, my left boot sank to the ankle. Something slid over the toe, slow and lazy. I hit it with the back of the hatchet head. The root snapped into the mud, and every trunk around me knocked from inside. Tuck, 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 all out of rhythm. I got free and climbed the far bank on hands and knees. My palms sank into warm moss and came away with red smears. The woods kept giving me my own flagging in wrong places. Blue marks appeared on trees I had never touched. My own voice kept moving behind me, saying small things I had said that morning. At 10:48, my Garmin beeped. Signal returned. It showed me 47 yards from the old road. I did not trust it, but I used it. The penny smell thinned. Cicadas came back loud and ugly. A crow called once. I saw the dusty back window of my Subaru through the trees. The old road showed as a brown stripe through green. One last birch stood beside it. I had passed that tree in the morning. It had been a tulip poplar with a lightning scar. I know it had. Now it was smooth white, with 4 waxy patches in a crooked line. My blue paint can sat at its base, though I had dropped it high on the hill. The tree had an open cut at chest height, fresh, red, waiting. From the cut came my voice, very soft. Just mark it. I stepped wide around it. The cut opened a little as I passed. Inside was not hollow wood. Red tissue and pale fibers ran lengthwise, slick and organized. I saw it for less than a second. A root lifted in front of my right boot. I jumped it and ran the last 20 yards. The cable gate hit my hip. I ducked under, scraped my back on rust, and reached the Subaru, shaking so hard I dropped the key fob in the gravel. The buttons would not work. The woods behind me knocked once. I found the metal key, opened the door, fell into the driver's seat, and locked it. The car smelled like hot vinyl, old coffee, and the banana peel I had forgotten in the trash bag. Best smell in the world. The hatchet was still in my right hand, red streaks on the blade and handle, pale bark stuck to the edge. My glove was gone. The birch beside the road stood still. I started the car, reversed hard enough to spit gravel, and drove south on NC 215 with the windows down because I could not stand that metallic smell warming in the car. At Lake Logan, I got 1 bar and called Vince. He answered with his mouth full. "You out already? We need to talk about Hensley." He stopped chewing. "You hurt?" "No, I don't think so. What happened?" I looked at the red line dried around my wrist. Under it, my skin looked normal. "Upper bench is bad. Don't send a crew in." "Bad how?" I almost told him the tree bled and the woods used my voice. Instead, I said, possible infection. Maybe beetle activity. Soil is wrong, too. I got photos. Beetle activity was nonsense, especially on birch like that, but it gave him somewhere to put it. People like file folders. Vince looked at my photos in the office and did not joke. The first 2 were there, blurred red spray, then the closed cut with a wet line. The coordinate photo was black, except for a pale curve at the edge like peeling bark. Vince called Doyle and used words like liability, pathogen, soil contamination, delayed harvest recommendation. Doyle yelled loud enough that I heard tinny pieces through the phone. Vince let him yell. Then he said no insured cutter would touch the upper bench until State Forestry cleared it. State Forestry never went, as far as I know. COVID rules, budget cuts, remote offices, the paperwork slowed down. Doyle cut the lower stand that winter, and the upper bench sat there. I cleaned the hatchet 3 days later at a coin wash in Clyde. 1 piece of bark stuck to the Fiskars logo. When I scraped it with a screwdriver, it curled inward around the tip, slow and weak. I threw the hatchet into the French Broad River that afternoon. The true last thing I did on that tract was not heroic. I did not burn anything. I did not solve anything. I stood by the old road with my shirt stuck to my back, while the birch kept its red cut open at chest height. My own voice came out of it and asked me to finish the mark. I wiped the hatchet on the grass and walked fast back to the car. The tract was excluded from the logging plan under the pretext of bark beetle contamination in the soil. The first thing I noticed was the refrigerator. Not the smell, not the blood. It knocked every 12 seconds, like somebody tapping a mug in another room. March 13th, 2018, in Koreatown, Los Angeles. Unit 3C, Alexandria Avenue, just north of Wilshire, near Wilshire/Normandy. Windows were painted shut. I was 32 and worked for Aftercare West, a crime scene cleanup company out of Van Nuys. I knew what blood did on drywall, carpet, laminate, grout, and cheap paint. I knew ordinary bad. My partner was Marco, 41, former maintenance guy from Glendale. Shaved head, Dodgers hoodie under his Tyvek suit, big red gum under his mask. The gray Ford Transit smelled like cinnamon and disinfectant because of him. Mr. Hahn, the building manager, met us with a clipboard. The tenant was Daryl, 58, lived alone, no pets, paid rent by money order. Police said you cleaned the wall, he said. We clean what's on the scope, I told him. Denise had priced it at $1,875, which meant 1 room, 1 wall, maybe a piece of carpet. We had another job in Reseda at 3. Marco parked by the dumpsters, and we rolled up 2 bins, a HEPA scrubber, red bags, a pump sprayer, and white rags. The hallway outside 3C smelled like lemon pine sol, cabbage, and old cigarettes. A daytime court show played behind 3B. Mr. Hahn unlocked the door and stepped back fast. like the smell could grab him. Inside was ordinary. Beige carpet, IKEA table, black Samsung TV, mail on a milk crate. A crooked print of Griffith Observatory over the couch. The air was warm and stale. The refrigerator knocked. 12 seconds. Knock. The affected area was in the bedroom, on the west wall beside the closet. Blood had dried there in a dark fan at shoulder height, with drops on the baseboard and a small patch on the carpet. It looked like a 3-hour job. Marco stood in the doorway and said, "Denise undersold it by 200. "She undersells everything," I said. We suited up. Tyvek, boot covers, double gloves, N95s, face shields. I set my iPhone 7 timer for 25 minutes. Marco marked the carpet with blue painter's tape. I wiped the door handles with Clorox healthcare wipes and misted the wall with Bacazap. It had that sweet, rotten citrus smell that sticks in your hair. The first odd thing was heat. I put my left hand near the wall while I scraped a dry edge with a plastic blade, and I felt warmth through 2 gloves. Not hot like a pipe, more like a laptop charger under a blanket. I looked for an outlet. The nearest one was 3 feet away. No vent, no sun. That side of the building faced another apartment wall. I decided it was nothing. That was my first bad decision. Jobs have weird little things all the time. Warm walls, buzzing fixtures, mystery stains, neighbors watching through peepholes. If you stop for every strange detail, you never finish. I sprayed again. Most dried blood changes when you wet it. This did not. The cleaner hit the center of the stain and vanished. No shine, no run lines. The wall around it got wet and drips normally, but the stain itself drank the mist. Marco looked up. "Drywall thirsty?" "Bad paint," I said. I pressed a clean white rag against the center. It came away clean except for one tiny pink dot near my thumb. I pressed harder and twisted. The wall flexed. Not soft like water damage, more like a blister under paint. "Come look at this," I said. Marco clicked on his Milwaukee headlamp. The beam hit the stain, and for half a second, it looked glossy. Then it went dull again. "Cut it out," he said. Reasonable. When in doubt, remove the material. I scored a 12 by 12 square with a drywall knife. The top and sides cut fine. At the bottom, the blade stuck. I pulled it free and found clear jelly on the tip, about the amount you get from a raw egg. It stretched, snapped, and shrank back into the cut. There was no smell at first. Then I got pennies in warm water. Marco stopped chewing. "Is that from him?" he asked. "No," I said, too fast. I scraped the jelly onto a rag. It soaked through in a neat circle the size of a nickel. The circle spread while I watched, very slowly. It was warm enough that I felt it through my glove. I still tried to make it normal. Maybe wall adhesive. Maybe medical gel. Maybe Daryl had taped a heat pad there and the police pulled it off. Then the stain pulsed. Small. One push, outward and back. A slow movement under the paint, round and quiet, like a throat swallowing. It made a tacky little click. Marco said, "Did you see that?" "Yes." The refrigerator knocked from the kitchen. 12 seconds. Knock. I said, "Could be a bubble from the spray." "Spray bubbles don't have a pulse, Nat." He was right. I should have called Denise right then. Instead, I did what trade people do when a problem makes them feel stupid. I got more aggressive. I mixed our stronger disinfectant concentrate at 1 to 10 with hot tap water. The bathroom faucet coughed brown for 3 seconds before it cleared. When I came back, Marco was staring at the wall. "It's bigger," he said. It was. The center was almost 12 inches across now, and thin red lines had feathered into the paint. Not dripping, growing underneath. The clean wall 6 inches away was cool. 1 inch away was warm. Over the stain, heat lifted into my palm. "Thermal reaction," I said. "To what?" "The product." He looked at the bottle. "Then don't feed it." That word annoyed me. Feed. It made the room feel smaller. I told him to get the infrared thermometer from the van. While he was gone, I turned to peel back the carpet near the baseboard. Behind me came a wet tap. 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 Not loud, like a finger touching the inside of a fish tank. I turned around and saw 3 new dots above the main stain, each the size of a pencil eraser. They sank into the paint and connected with hair-thin red lines. I said, "Nope." Not yelled, just said. I stepped into the doorway and waited for Marco. The HEPA scrubber hummed in the living room. My suit made paper sounds when I breathed. I smelled Bacazap, old carpet, and that warm penny odor getting stronger. Marco came back with the thermometer and a Starbucks cup he had forgotten in the van. He aimed at the wall. 89.6, he said. The room was 71. He aimed again. 92, again. 94.1. I said, "We document and stop." I took photos with my phone, 3 wide, 3 close. In the pictures, the stain looked normal, just a dirty red patch on a bad wall. No veins, no heat, no pulse. Then my phone fogged from inside the life-proof case. A gray bloom spread under the screen. I wiped the outside. Nothing changed. The phone buzzed once and died at 47%. "Mine's acting up," Marco said. His Galaxy S8 kept opening the camera by itself. Click, click, click. Photos of the carpet, his boots, the bed frame. The wall pulsed hard enough to split the bottom of our scored square. A clear bead pushed out. Red threads curled inside it. It hung there, round and trembling, then flattened upward against gravity and spread over the paint in a thumb-shaped smear. Marco whispered, "We're leaving." Leaving should be boring. Bag rags, strip outer gloves, wipe handles, don't touch skin, don't track anything out. We did the short version because the room was changing. Marco reached for the pump sprayer out of habit. "Leave it," I said. He left it. As Marco pulled the bedroom door closed, the wall made a low, rubbery creak. The stain had spread past the square and down toward the baseboard like slow pancake batter. Parts of it were translucent now. I saw dark specks shifting inside. The closet door popped. Not opened, popped, like pressure had changed behind it. A warm line of air pushed through the gap. It smelled like copper, bleach, and overripe fruit. "Natalie," Marco said. I grabbed the bedroom door. It stuck halfway, as if the room had taken a breath and held it. I pulled harder. The door closed with a soft slap. 2 seconds of quiet. Then something tapped the other side, low, near the hinge. Once. We moved. At the front door, Mr. Hahn was in the hallway with his clipboard. "Finished?" "No," I said. "Step back." "What happened?" "Unknown biological hazard. We are stopping work." "Like mold?" "Step back, please." Behind us, inside the apartment, the bedroom latch clicked. Cheap interior latch, turned from the other side. Marco heard it too. He yanked the front door shut so hard, the air slapped my suit. I locked the deadbolt with Mr. Hahn's key still in my glove. Mr. Hahn said, "What is in there?" I did not have a sentence that would help. We kept emergency biohazard tape in the van, red Granger stuff with black symbols. Marco ran down for it while I listened to the refrigerator knock and a wet scrape moving inside the apartment. Marco came back. We taped the door with 3 horizontal strips and 2 diagonals. Mr. Hahn kept saying, "This is not okay." I called Denise from Marco's phone. She answered, "Tell me you're done early." "Stop the clock on Alexandria," I said. "Unknown biohazard. Active growth in the wall. Heat producing. Reacts to cleaner. Do not send another crew." "Is it mold?" "No." "Chemical?" "I don't know." Behind the door, something slid against the inside of the front wall, closer than the bedroom. Marco pointed at the threshold. A dark red line appeared under the door, thin as thread. It touched the hallway tile, paused, and pulled back. The lower tape sagged where the adhesive warmed. I smelled hot plastic. Denise said, "Nat, are you messing with me?" "No. Call County Health. Call whoever is above them. Mark it as unknown biological danger. We're clearing the hallway." She finally heard me. "Okay, get out. I'll call Arthur." As we moved down the hall, 3C made a sound like wet paper tearing. I looked back once. The tape across the door was no longer flat. The middle strip bowed inward, as if the apartment was pulling on it from the inside. Marco touched my elbow. "Don't." We went downstairs. Outside, Beverly Boulevard traffic hissed past. In the alley, between dumpsters smelling of onions and cat litter, we stripped our suits into contractor bags and sealed them with duct tape. Arthur arrived at 12:18 in a silver Toyota Avalon. I showed him the thermometer memory, 94.7. He stopped talking and called County Health, using words like unidentified material and thermal activity. He did not say pulsing wall. At 1:05, two LA County public health workers arrived. They went up with Mr. Hahn and came back down after 8 minutes. The woman in charge wrote down every product we had used. Mr. Hahn told her Daryl had once complained about a humming sound in the bedroom wall. At 2:20, a black SUV with government plates pulled up, then a plain white box truck. No sirens. 4 people got out in dark blue jackets with small badges. One photographed our van and shoes. Another questioned me and Marco separately. The man questioning me said his name was Dr. Halloran. He asked if the material reacted more to water or disinfectant. I said the first cleaner made it grow. He asked if it moved toward us. Not at first, I said. He wrote that down and underlined it. By 3 o'clock, they had sealed the building entrance with better tape than ours. Arthur signed our work order over to a federal response contractor. I saw the form long enough to read one line. Biological hazard, unknown type, transferred to government service. Under description, Arthur had typed wall substrate reaction. That was all. No blood drinking cleaner, no heat, no tapping. We were told to go home, shower, bag our clothes, and wait for a call. Nobody sent us to a hospital. That bothered me more than a hospital would have. End of tonight's LurmoStories. The EXIF data on one of the photos in the original thread put the user 3 time zones away from where they said they were. Nobody else noticed for a year. Subscribe, and we'll show you the photo in the next upload.